We're all about facts, not fear here, and providing information to keep you and your loved ones safe. So what do we do every day? We bring on the experts. Dr. Payal Kohli joins us live again to answer your questions about the coronavirus. Real quickly, I do want to ask a new study coming out of MIT, which I think is your alma mater. They're now saying a sneeze can travel farther than 6 feet. Am I right?
Really?
Yes, it is my alma mater. Go MIT.
Ooh.
And yes, the study was actually very eye-opening. So I don't know if you guys are wondering how we came up with this 6 feet theory, but it really originated in the 1930s when we were studying tuberculosis. And the theory is basically that when we talk, the heavy droplets fall down close to us in the ground and the small droplets evaporate upwards. But what this new study showed us is that it's not actually so simple, because when we talk, you actually get air and gas trapping in those droplets. So not only can they linger in the air longer than we thought, but they can actually travel a lot further.
Oh, wow.
And really what determines how far they travel is the velocity with which they were ejected. So talking, like I'm doing right now, probably not a very high velocity event, but sneezing, coughing, even things like laughing, singing, cheering, all of those can propel those a lot farther than 6 feet.
Wow.
So what I've been telling people is that if you're just talking to someone, that 6 feet is probably adequate. But as you guys do, if you're laughing out loud, maybe you want to increase the distance just a little bit, because it is possible that those droplets could be going farther.
That's good news.
All right, Doctor, I have 2 questions for you. One, does MIT have a mascot?
It does. It's the beaver, and that's nature's engineer. No, it gets better.
Nature's engineer?
And his name is, yep, his name is Tim, which is MIT spelled backwards.
Amazing.
And our fight song has cosine and sine in it, so one day I'll sing that for you guys.
Okay, that might be the best piece of information I've ever gotten. But on to the real facts here, Dr. Kohli. I appreciate you. Let's get to some viewer comments. Rick writes in, when I get my mail these days, I get goosebumps. Even if I practice good social distancing, there seems to be a lot of glossy pieces of mail arriving daily. Should I leave it in the garage for a day or so?
So, Rick, we don't know how long it really lasts on paper. We do know that cardboard is about 24 hours. But what I do is I bring it in, I throw out the envelopes, and then I wash my hands really well afterwards. And, Rick, I really don't want you to be getting goosebumps every time you check your mail, because remember, Tori always says, no panic. And this is a pandemic, not a panic-demic, which a lot of people are saying that this is creating. So it's good to be mindful, but don't freak out.
Look at that MIT brain. With the pandemic, I couldn't even get it. Next, Sue says she's heard about 2 different strains, an S strain and an L strain. She heard the L strain is more severe and has more symptoms. Is this true?
So let's talk about the strains. And the way the virus originally started was it started in bats, and then it mutated into an intermediary animal. And we think this is a pangolin. And then it mutated further and came into humans. And when it first came into humans, it was this S strain that we saw really in Wuhan, China. But then it mutated farther and made this L strain. And what we've learned about the L strain is that, number one, it's more prevalent. So 70% of the circulating virus is the L strain, not the S strain as it originally was. And number 2, it actually spreads faster. So it is certainly a little bit more aggressive than the S strain. But what we don't know yet, you guys, is whether just because it spreads faster, does it actually create a more critical illness? And that question you asked earlier, Jeff, about why some people have no symptoms at all, whereas some get extremely sick and maybe even pass away. We're not entirely clear if this has to do with the body's response to the virus, with the virus itself, how much of the virus gets in there. So there's still a lot of unknowns. But we do know that there's 2 strains. We know one spreads faster, but we don't know whether that means it makes you sicker or not.
Well, I didn't even really realize there were 2 strains. I feel ignorant about that. That's great to know.
I didn't. I think we're learning more about this every day, and I think things that we learned already in the past couple of weeks are coming to fruition that they're not true. So I think each day it's good to have Dr. Kohli on and give us the facts.
You can call her Doc. She lets you if you're friends with her, and I'm friends with her, so that's cool.
Wait till you get to know her a little longer, Doc.
Yes. Well, and one of the other questions. Sorry, guys, one more thing. One of the other questions was whether the 2 strains means the vaccine will still work against both strains. And the answer is yes, because even though they're different strains, they're genetically overlapping quite a bit. So we actually do think the vaccine will probably be effective against both. So that's good news.
That is good news. Speaking of good news, before we go, it's time for Dr. Kohli's Make a Noise Silver Lining.
They did it for me.
Oh, that was good. All right, today's good news update
I
is
like Steph's noise.
Yeah, what's your noise?
I don't know. I forgot it.
Okay, cool. Good talks. But very
It was
important.
ding,
Ding.
ding.
What do you have for us for silver lining, Doc?
So silver lining today for me was when I opened my eyes, the first thought that I had was an attitude of gratitude, because I realized for the first time just how many things I had been taking for granted all my life, whether that's getting into the car and going to the salon, or going to see a friend, going out to a fancy dinner, traveling wherever I want, all the things in our life that we've never stopped to think just what a privilege it is for us to really have the access to do. I think this pandemic has made us realize that. And once it's gone, I know when I get those back, I'll be a lot more grateful that they're here.
She should just take over the show. She's like unbelievable.
I love that.
I know. I miss hugs. I just miss a hug.
But I hope people, like Dr. Kohli said, take the appreciation that the things that you used to have and take that into when this is all over. Instead of going back to, I hate the government, I hate this, I hate that. We all have a common enemy right now, and we're focused on that. Once that enemy goes away, I hope we don't go back to hating each other. So great point, Doc.
I think it's great. Thank you so much, Doc. We will see you tomorrow. So if you have a question about the coronavirus you want answered by the doctor, write to us at social media. You can also email info@dailyblastlive.com.